Welcome to the Carpool Chat. From our house to the State House, the commute nobody ran for. I am State Representative Tina Bojanowski, and with me I have State Representative Sarah Stalker and State Representative Rachel Rorks. The three of us regularly carpool from Louisville to Frankfort, and we thought it'd be fun to share some of the chats we have on our drive into Frankfort. So welcome, ladies. How are we doing today?
We're good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Sarah's discombobulated. She lost her phone.
I'm lighter.
Yeah. We're looking for a lost cell phone, so that's going to take us a little bit. We'll get back to that when we finish this video. So let's talk a little bit about one of the governor's primary initiatives is a pre-K for all program. And I have filed yesterday House Bill 272 that extends the percentage of children who are in poverty who are eligible for a 4-year-old preschool program. So it extends it from 160% to 250%
Of the
federal poverty level, right? So it's really exciting that, you know, if this bill will go through, we would have more kids who are able to access preschool education. Rachel, you had some thoughts on this?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we need pre-K for all this year, like, period. Like, we have to have it. We've been hearing about childcare for so long. We know that even more than half of our kindergarten age students are not kindergarten ready. And so we need to make sure that we're expanding pre-K for all, childcare options, but like high quality childcare and educational instruction in schools, and also just making it more affordable for families who can't access that right now. I mean, it's really critical because we need to be sending more people back to work and making sure that families are able to have this in an affordable range.
And I think one of the interesting parts of this bill is that families could potentially access this preschool education through their child care centers.
Yeah.
And so it's partially a public-private partnership. So it doesn't just mean all children have to leave early childhood, but you know, if you're working and preschool's 3 hours a day, you need some supports for more parts of your day. So
Right.
that tries to address that. Sarah, share a little bit.
So a lot of folks don't know this about me, but I am a former early childhood educator. And so I started working with kids starting at the age of 2. And then worked, for a couple of years, and then was asked to expand a program that existed within a facility that only went up to age 3, and they wanted to be able to offer that last year before kids went into kindergarten. So it was a really big undertaking to develop that program and make sure those kids were kindergarten ready.
Right.
So I always tell people, I've seen, firsthand the difference that high quality pre-K can make in a child's life.
Right. So very excited to see that filed, and hopefully it'll move.
And we all became co-sponsors on it.
So. Yay! I appreciate that immensely. There is another preschool bill that Representative Donworth filed that is more of the universal pre-K that would make all 4-year-olds eligible. So we kind of have two different lenses to look at expanding early childhood education. Let's talk a little bit about how do you use your voice on the floor? Just a little bit about decorum. What is the process when you speak on the floor or in a committee meeting? Just somebody want to chat about that?
Yeah, I'll start. I always tell people all we have is our voice sometimes because of our vote necessarily not being in the majority and being in the minority. Which is just the reality of the situation right now. But being able to speak, asking questions in committee and on the House floor as well to make sure that we are advocating for things that we think are good, but also raising questions about things that are problematic. And I always tell people, when you watch us on the floor, and particularly or in a committee room, everything from a decorum standpoint is interesting because you're always speaking to either the chair if you're in a committee who's sitting behind you, or if you're on the floor, you're speaking to the Speaker of the House. And so when you request your button to speak and you were called on, I would be called on from the Speaker by saying, the lady from Jefferson 34. So it's going to start with your county, and then because there's so many of us in Jefferson County, because the density of Louisville, it will go to the House district that I represent. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. will the gentleman from, whatever the house, number, yield to a question, right? And then he has to say, yes, he will, or yes, she will. And then so it's this interesting exchange of like, I can't just always turn to the person and talk. I definitely can't call them out by their name. If I was talking to you on the House floor, I would never refer to you as Representative Bojanowski.
And if you do that, there's a whole kerfuffle, and everybody's like, you know, like you're not supposed to refer to individuals by their name, but by their seat.
Yes. Yeah. So the lady from Jefferson 32 is how I would refer to you on the House floor. So those are just some kind of differences that people have to kind of adjust to when they're watching this to kind of understand the flow.
And if you say something highly inappropriate or offensive to the speaker, you can get gavelled. So that would halt your comments at that point in time. And luckily, I have never been gavelled. Sometimes people get a little tap, right? And it's just to call them back to, speak on the bill. Or, it's really important that you speak on the bill. So that's a little bit about how the process works logistically. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to use my voice to push back on a statement in the Family and Children's Committee meeting where there was a representative who was opposing a bill that Stephanie Dietz, Representative Dietz, had filed, and it had to do...
Well, it was an organization, not a representative from an organization.
A representative from an organization, right,
yes,
who opposed the bill. And so the bill did one little thing. It eliminated, if you're getting divorced and you go through mediation and you come to an agreement, currently you have to still wait another 60 days to be officially divorced. And what this bill does is for people who go through mediation, it eliminates that 60 days. Well, the gentleman who spoke from another organization was not only very critical about this bill, saying it made divorce easier, he also went on to say effectively all the reasons why divorce is bad for children. And divorce is bad for children, but I've been divorced, and it was a situation with custody issues, and it was a very difficult time in my life, and I was really offended by the statement that he made, and I expressed my concerns, and I literally said I was seething at the moment.
But you were so controlled.
Well,
I know you don't feel like you're in control, and I've been in that situation where you're just like, I don't know what I sounded like because you're trying to rein it in.
Right.
But you were incredibly controlled, very professional, but also very direct to say, here's all the things that are offensive about what you said, and really just not accurate. And I think a lot of people in that room appreciated what you had to say. Other members that sat on that committee who maybe themselves have been divorced or our parents had been divorced. Yes, it's not a black and white.
I mean, it really offended me because he implied that my decision to get divorced had a negative impact on my children. And at the time where I ended up getting divorced, being divorced was the positive thing to do for my children. So, I mean, that's just another way that we can use our voice. I generally don't say things that are so emotional, but this just really hit me in my gut. And so I was able to use, my voice, and there are a lot of people who really appreciated that voice.
Particularly folks who are survivors of domestic violence, because that was a point that you raised from a statistical point, and you want to mention what that was.
Well, I mean, this weekend is Shop and Share Day, which is a way that individuals in the community can give back to survivors of domestic violence. And you can go to your local Kroger or grocery store and donate items to a domestic violence shelter in your area. And actually, that's the issue that brought me to the Kentucky General Assembly. I think when I was 15, I had a personal situation that my family broadly experienced. And so it made me really passionate about changing laws and strengthening domestic violence protections. And no-fault divorce is one of the ways that we keep people safe when they're being abused.
That's right.
Because obviously one partner is not going to want the other one to be out of the marital relationship if they're the abuser to the abusee. So it is critical that no-fault divorce remain, and also that we acknowledge that sometimes you do need to be out of a marriage for a safety reason, and there should not be those additional barriers, because we know there's a lot of barriers that can be created in an abusive situation.
And this bill was not about making,
No.
what was so offensive is that this gentleman misrepresented what this bill was. He was
Right.
like, you're making marriage,
Divorce
easier, right? Like for people who are married, and that's not what the bill does. The bill
Right.
simply says, you've done the work, and this is really only in situations where you have children. So if there's children that are present, if you've already been responsible and you've done the work, the mediation, why are we continuing to make these people sit and wait yet another 60 days?
Right.
So,
Right.
you did
Anything
great
else?
work. No.
No?
That sums it up.
Okay. All right. So, personal note. What are you thinking about in your time that you're not here in Frankfurt?
Well, we've been talking about a lot of our favorite shows recently, and this has kind of brought up some of the more like historical dramas that we've been watching. And I want to bring back old English like slang phrases about people. So when I say like if someone's a rake, what would you think that means?
Well, we looked it up.
But when you said it to me in the car, I immediately think a rake is a tool, but then I think about previous slang where people used to call somebody a tool, right? Right,
yeah.
just being like, this is just kind of like a not super sharp person, kind of a, I don't know how you would really explain it, but it was not what I thought it was, which was what?
Well, I think it's like somebody who's like a player or kind of just very I think a womanizer,
womanizer.
could all come up, but like in the historical romance drama, it could be like somebody who's like kind of the bad boy in the show, and I think there's been a lot of talk over. I think it was like a question on Jeopardy at one point, and rake was the answer. So it comes up in like Jane Austen and things like that, and so it's especially with like Wuthering Heights coming out in theaters soon. I think like there's just been a lot more of the old English slang coming back up, and so and I also think that we should start when we like just begin to speak, we should start saying like "heary, heary" and "behold."
But let's not wear like white wigs. No, that would be bad.
But I think we should bring back some of the old English phrases just for fun.
Yeah. Sarah, how about you?
Well, aside from finding my phone, which
We need to find the phone.
We're still on the hunt.
is a new thing. I tell you something, with everything that's going on in the world, it's really hard because, when I come back from Frankfurt, you just need a lot of time to decompress. There's so much stuff that goes on here and things that you're just mulling through, thinking through. And the other night, my husband said to me, is it crazy that I'm going to put on do you remember the Muppet Show? And
Sure.
Okay, so I didn't watch this, and I don't know if it was because was it on cable, was it not? I didn't grow up with that, but my husband's like, no, this came on at like 7 o'clock at night. It was for adults. And so we started to watch it, and of course I knew all the characters, but it's highly entertaining, and it just kind of takes you back to a time when you're just like, oh, remember when a piece of the sky wasn't falling, out every day? And so we've kind of been watching that at night just to kind of like come down. And our daughter literally came out and she goes, "Are you all watching the Muppets?" And she's a senior. We're like, "Yes, we are. Would you like to join us?" We're like, and she's like, "I don't know. This doesn't feel appropriate for kids." And then my husband's like, "Because it was for adults."
Right.
But, yeah, so that's taking things in a very different direction, but it's working for us.
Some people are very scared of the Muppets.
Really?
The Muppet Christmas Carol is my favorite version of a Christmas Carol, and I watch it every year, and it's like a comfort watch to me. And I will like quote that movie to no end. But a lot of people are like, "You cannot put that on around me. I am so terrified of Muppets."
I find the characters very comforting.
I do
but
too.
again, it's like that nostalgia of being a younger kid. And
yeah, I don't mind a
Well,
puppet.
I'm really excited because last night I started watching season 4 of the Bridgerton show, and I watched 3 episodes and would have watched 4 if
Is there
we
a rake
wouldn't-
in there?
Yes, there is, and I really have a little bit of a crush on him. So. Yes.
Tell us more, Lady B.
Benedict Bridgerton is a very handsome gentleman who is in this show. That's his character name. So, yeah, I look forward to watching the 4th episode tonight. Unfortunately, it is only half of it was dropped, and the second half I'll have to wait a little bit to watch. But that's kind of what's on my personal world, and still a lot of shoveling. So,
Yeah.
yep, we're still working on that.
Gotta dig out of the ice,
That's
one
right.
ice block at a time.
That's right. So we hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Carpool Chat. We'll see you next week, and to Rep Rorks for a brief comment.
Today's episode has been sponsored by Find My iPhone. We're still on the hunt for Sarah's phone, so use it and know your password.